Welcome everyone. It is now 8 o'clock. So let's go ahead and start sharing the screen, please. It's 8 o'clock, GRCNA 39.5. I would start screaming and yelling and causing a hoot, but I don't want to get arrested. I just want to take a second and say we love you to Jeff. He had something come up tonight. He could not be here, but he has spent a lot of time and hard work with us throughout the year. And we just want to let you know if you're here or if you want to send a message to him that we love you and that we're thinking about you. My name is Josh J. and I am an addict.
Hey, Josh.
Hey, Josh.
Welcome to GRCNA 39.5. New possibilities arise, and welcome to our Friday evening speaker meeting. I want to say regarding anonymity, when joining a virtual meeting, you need to keep your video turned off to guarantee your anonymity. If you turn your video on, you're choosing to be seen by other participants. You can also change your name or switch to first name plus last initial to protect your identity. Scroll down, please. Let's please open with a moment of silence, followed by the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Welcome to the Georgia Region's first virtual convention, GRCNA 39.5. New possibilities arise. Our intention for this virtual convention is to make available to our fellowship a weekend of recovery, celebration, and fun. We hope that all addicts receive the NA message of recovery while they are participating in this event. It is our hope that the message we carry may truly let everyone know that NA is a place to recover and that no addict seeking recovery need die from addiction. Meeting participation guidelines. Please dress appropriately on camera. Please keep your microphone on mute unless you are asked to unmute by the host or co-host. If you have a question or need general assistance during the workshop, please contact the host or one of the co-hosts via direct message in chat. And we have a list of people that are reading. Bobby Joe, can you please read Who is an Addict?
My name's Bobby Joe and I'm an addict. Who is an addict? Most of us do not have to think twice about this question. We know. Our whole life and thinking was centered in drugs in one form or another. The getting and using and finding ways and means to get more. We live to use and use to live. Very simply, an addict is a man or woman whose life is controlled by drugs. We are people in the grip of a continuing and progressive illness whose ends are always the same: jails, institutions, and death.
Thank you, Bobby Joe. And in our minds, we're clapping like they're walking down from the podium back to their seat.
I feel the glory.
Do you? Bobby Joe is Arts and Graphics Vice Chair. Thank you for all your hard work this year, Bobby Joe.
Way to go, Bobby Joe.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. John P., what is the Narcotics Anonymous program?
Hello, everybody. My name is John. I'm an addict.
Hey, John.
What is the Narcotics Anonymous program? NA is a nonprofit fellowship or society of men and women for whom drugs have become a major problem. We're recovering addicts who meet regularly to help each other stay clean. This is a program of complete abstinence from all drugs. There's only one requirement for membership: the desire to stop using. We suggest that you keep an open mind and give yourself a break. Our program is a set of principles written so simply that we can follow them in our daily lives. The most important thing about them is that they work. There are no strings attached to NA. We are not affiliated with any other organizations. We have no initiation fees or dues, no pledges to sign, no promises to make to anyone. We're not connected with any political, religious, or law enforcement groups and are under no surveillance at any time. Anyone may join us regardless of age, race, sexual identity, creed, or lack of religion. We're not interested in what or how much you've used or who your connections were, what you've done in the past, how much or how little you have, but only what you want to do about your problem, how we can help. The newcomer is the most important person at any meeting because we can only keep what we have by giving it away. We have learned from our group experience that those who keep coming to our meetings regularly stay clean. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And John P. is the convention chair this year. Thank you, John, for all your hard work this year.
Thank you, guys.
And Amanda C., if you could please read, why are we here?
I'm Amanda and I'm an addict.
Amanda.
Before coming to the Fellowship of NA, we could not manage our own lives. We could not live and enjoy life as other people do. We had to have something different and we thought we had found it in drugs. We placed our use ahead of the welfare of our families, our wives, husbands, and our children. We had to have drugs at all costs. We did many people great harm, but most of all, we harmed ourselves. Through our inability to accept personal responsibilities, we were actually creating our own problems. We seemed to be incapable of facing life on its own terms. Most of us realized that in our addiction, we were slowly committing suicide, but addiction is such a cunning enemy of life that we had lost the power to do anything about it. Many of us ended up in jail or sought help through medicine, religion, and psychiatry. None of these methods was sufficient for us. Our disease always resurfaced or continued to progress until in desperation, we sought help from each other in Narcotics Anonymous. After coming to NA, we realized we were sick people. We suffered from a disease from which there is no known cure. It can, however, be arrested at some point and recovery is.
You accidentally muted yourself, but thank you, Amanda. Amanda is our programming vice chair.
Good job, Amanda.
Thanks, my bad.
Job, Amanda. Thank you.
We love you.
All right, Jefferson, how it works.
I'm Jefferson. I'm an addict.
Jefferson.
If you want, this is how it works. Okay. If you want what we have to offer and are willing to make the effort to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. These are the principles that made our recovery possible. 1, we admitted that we were powerless over our addiction, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, we made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. 4, we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, we admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, we humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. 8, we made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, we made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, we continued to take personal inventory and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, we sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to addicts and to practice these principles in all of our affairs. This sounds like a big order and we can't do it all at once. We didn't become addicted in one day, so remember, easy does it. There is one thing more than anything else that will defeat us in our recovery. This is an attitude of indifference or intolerance towards spiritual principles. 3 of these that are indispensable are honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. With these, we are well on our way. We feel that our approach to the disease of addiction is completely realistic, for the therapeutic value of one addict helping another is without parallel. We feel that our way is practical, for one addict can best understand and help another addict. We believe that the sooner we face our problems within our society and everyday living, just that much faster do we become acceptable, responsible, and productive members of that society. The only way to keep from returning to active addiction is not to take that first drug. If you are like us, you know that 1 is too many and 1,000 never enough. We put great emphasis on this, for we know that when we use drugs in any form or substitute one for another, we release our addiction all over again. Thinking of alcohol as different from other drugs has caused a great many addicts to relapse. Before we came to NA, many of us viewed alcohol separately, but we cannot afford to be confused about this. Alcohol is a drug. We are people with the disease of addiction who must abstain from all drugs in order to recover.
Thank you, Jefferson. Jefferson is our vice chair of registration this year. Thank you for your hard work this year, Jefferson. All right, the 12 traditions. George D.
My name is George. I'm an addict.
Hey, George.
These are the 12 traditions of NA. We keep what we have only with vigilance, and just as freedom for the individual comes from the 12 steps, so freedom from the group springs from our traditions. As long as the ties that bind us together are stronger than those that would tear us apart, all will be well. Number 1, our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends on NA unity. Number 2, for our group purpose, there's but one ultimate authority, a loving God as he may express himself in our group conscience. Our leaders are but trusted servants. They do not govern. Number 3, the only requirement for membership is the desire to stop using. 4, each group should be autonomous except in matters affecting other groups or NA as a whole. 5, each group has but one primary purpose, to carry the message to the addict who still suffers. 6, an NA group ought never endorse, finance, or lend the NA name to any related facility or outside enterprise, lest problems of money, property, or prestige divert us from our primary purpose. 7, every NA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. 8, Narcotics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. 9, NA as such never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. 10, Narcotics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues, hence the NA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. 11, our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need to always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. 12, anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities.
Thank you, George.
Okay. Do we do any more?
Yes.
Understanding these traditions comes slowly over a period of time. We pick up information as we talk to members and visit various groups. It usually isn't until we get involved with service that someone points out that personal recovery depends on NA unity, and that unity depends on how well we follow our traditions. The 12 traditions of NA are not negotiable. They are the guidelines that keep our fellowship alive and free. By following these guidelines in our dealings with others and society at large, we avoid many problems. This is not to say that our traditions eliminate all problems. We still have to face difficulties as they arise. Communication problems, differences of opinion, internal controversies, and troubles with individuals and groups outside the fellowship. However, when we apply these principles, we avoid some of the pitfalls. Many of our problems are like those that our predecessors had to face. Their hard-won experience gave birth to the traditions, and our own experience has shown that these principles are just as valid today as they were when these traditions were formulated. Our traditions protect us from the internal and external forces that could destroy us. They are truly the ties that bind us together. It's only through understanding and application that they work.
Thank you, George. And George this year has been the treasurer of the
Thank you,
CP.
George.
Appreciate you, George.
Love
All
you,
right, so
George D.
Thank you.
Kelly B, just for today, please.
Kelly Onick,
Kelly.
just for today, tell yourself, just for today, my thoughts will be on my recovery, living and enjoying life without the use of drugs. Just for today, I will have faith in someone in NA who believes in me and wants to help me in my recovery. Just for today, I will have a program. I will try to follow it to the best of my ability. Just for today, through NA, I will try to get a better perspective on my life. Just for today, I will be unafraid. My thoughts will be on my new associations, people who are not using and who have found a new way of life. So long as I follow that way, I have nothing to fear.
Thank you, Kelly. Kelly is our activities chair this year. It's done a fantastic job. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, Kelly. Love you.
We do recover. Mike S.
My name's Mike. I'm an addict. We
Mike,
can recover. When at the end of the road, we find that we can no longer function as a human being, either with or without drugs. We all face the same dilemma. What is there left to do? There seems to be this alternative. Either go on as best we can to the bitter ends, jails, institutions, or death, or find a new way to live. In years gone by, very few addicts ever had this last choice. Those who are addicted today are more fortunate. For the first time in man's entire history, a simple way has been proving itself in the lives of many addicts. It is available to us all. This is a simple spiritual, not religious program known as Narcotics Anonymous.
thanks, Mike. And Mike is our arts and graphics chair and has done a phenomenal job this year. Thank you, Mike. I did want to take just a minute here. Again, my name is Josh and I'm an addict. And I want to welcome you all again to our first virtual meeting. And I did want to say that I really appreciate, and I speak for a lot of us here on the tech team, for all the hard work that each one of you have put into helping make this possible. And each moment that we ran into an issue today, I was on a run earlier and I was just thinking that maybe, just maybe, that was my higher power slowing me down just for a second so that I can continue to remember to rely on something greater than myself. Every moment that something doesn't go my way is maybe not a moment that I attach to it, but maybe that's a moment where I can continue to live this program in all my affairs. So at this time, I will turn it over. I believe that we have, who do we have introducing Tanya tonight?
Hello, everyone. My name is Calvin. I'm a grateful recovering addict.
Hey, Calvin.
First of all, I'd like to thank my higher power for allowing me to be alive and clean in another Narcotic Anonymous meeting with all of you, my family. And I'd like to thank the GRCNA trusted servants for so graciously and kindly putting this platform together, and the honor and the privilege to be able to share with you my good friend, someone that I've met during this pandemic who poured into my life tremendously. And I'm talking about in a very huge way. This is what we do. Each one teach one. We reach out and help one another. And I'm talking about if you want to be fed tonight, you guys couldn't have got a better speaker in my mind. I'm so thankful for this person who's going to share their powerful, clear-cut message of recovery. From Shelbyville, Georgia, by way of New York City, I'd like to present to some and introduce to others my good friend, Tanya J. Shake that mic, girl.
Hi, family. My name is Tanya J. I'm a blessed recovering addict. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. I just bought a new microphone. My brother put it together, so I'm testing it out with y'all.
You look lovely, Tanya.
Thank you. I want to say that it's truly an honor and a privilege to be here. And I don't take this invitation that you gave me lightly. I understand the words from my mouth may help that next addict stay clean. Because we have a message, y'all. Our message is hope and our promise is freedom, that any addict can stop using, lose that desire to use, and they can find a new way to live.
Yes.
And 30 years ago, I was that addict. At 25 years old, I was sitting in Narcotics Anonymous. I didn't know how I got here. I had lost my way. And I couldn't find my way back to the yellow brick road. I came into Narcotics Anonymous. I came in with a business suit, an attaché case, a college degree. I had both my parents. I had my own place. I had the same job that I retired from 5 years ago. Y'all told me that the addict that was going to come after you was going to be a little bit more fortunate. And I was that fortunate addict because when I came in here, there was nothing here but dope fiends. And they had those big hands. And some of them had pus coming out their hands, and some were talking to themselves, and some were smelling. And all I could say to myself is, how did I get here? Like, how did I get here at 25 years old? It talks about people, our parents and people around us are often baffled and confused. I know my parents was in their bedroom saying, what the is wrong with her? See, my parents were my first sponsors. I didn't have to come to Narcotics Anonymous to know that I was in trouble. And I remember sitting in your meetings and I remember hearing the old timers or the dope fiends sharing their story, and they were giving it up. They was telling, they were fighting for their life. They said, if you found a seat in here, hold on to it. Nobody earns a seat in Narcotics Anonymous. That seat is given to you through God's mercy and God's grace. And so I don't take the seat that God has given me because it could have went a different way. I don't know about you, but for me, it could have went a different way. I didn't earn this seat. God loved me so much that he heard me in my deepest, darkest cry. When I stood out there, I knew I was an addict at 20. Crack came to New York City in 1986, and when it came like a storm. All they said to us as the crack addicts is, just say no. See, for the dope fiends, when they withdrew from the drug, like you could feel it physical. The alcoholic could feel it physical. But the crack addict, they told us it was all in our mind. Just say no. And if I could say no, I wouldn't be in Narcotics Anonymous. And I remember the night that I came home. And I thank God for my parents, and I thank God for the non-conditional love that they gave me. It wasn't unconditional. My mother had conditions on her love. What she said to me is that I don't know what you're doing out there, but XYZ facility called and they said they have a bed for you, and I suggest you go because you can't stay here doing that. I thank God that my mother stopped me in my track. She didn't love me to death. My mother loved me to life. And for that, I am forever truly grateful. I stayed clean for 5 years. At that time, they gave us drinking privileges. Well, I wasn't an alcoholic, so I took a drink and my disease said, now, B, you know you ain't no alcoholic. Let's get what we really want to get and stop playing around. See, I was young and I used to go to your house and this one's house and that one's house, right? To use, because my parents told me, I tried to get them to buy into the weed process, right? My mother said, I wouldn't care if you pass out, you fall out. My father said, look, I don't do drugs. And he said, never will you ever use in our house. So you know what I did? I went to your houses and y'all told me how to twist and to turn. And I know a lot of times y'all beat me with that paranoia, right? And so I always realized that I had a reservation. Do you know that reservations robs us of the benefits that this program has to offer? And so I'm saying to the newer member, you know, the things that we say, if this happened or that happened, that I'll use, like it's real important that you share that in here. And so I think that I had a reservation. I wanted to get my own place, because that really was the problem. You couldn't tell me that something that I started in June that led me to be in treatment by September had beat me. So I don't have a long drug log. Yes, I smoke weed and I drank and I sniffed coke a little bit, but it was crack that took me down. It didn't take long. It took 3 months. And so I stayed clean, and I told you I got everything that we consider to be social acceptability. Back then, they knocked you down and then they built you up. and they gave us jobs, and they prepared us, and they gave a roof over our head, and they kept us inside those little things, and they kept drilling on us about change and transformation. But there were certain things that they didn't allow us to work on. They didn't allow us to come to Narcotics Anonymous meeting. They'll let us go to the other fellowship, but they wasn't letting us come here. I remember being inside that treatment. I was young, and one of the things is that I had my high school diploma, so they put me in the adult facility. I was grateful for that because I got to meet men and women who had a major problem with drugs. I got to hear their story. You know, back then I was a pretty young thing. I'm still a pretty young thing, but back then I was even prettier. And when I went into there was nothing but older people. But one of the things that I got to hear while I was in there, that men hurt just like women. I remember sitting inside that place, and I shared and I talked about what happened to me at 10. I want to tell you about a little girl that came home and was standing at the bus stop, and my parents told me, don't talk to strangers. But he looked just like my dad. And I always wondered, because I knew women played games. Now, my mother don't play games with my father, but I knew women played games, and I was a daddy's girl. I'm still a daddy's girl. And I remember sitting there with my dad and just wondering that whatever happened if my mother and father was to separate or divorce, you know, I hope she wouldn't stop me from having that relationship with my dad. And so when this man approached me, he looked just like my dad. And I trusted him. I knew I wasn't supposed to go with the stranger, but I did. And so we walked and we walked and we walked, and he realized I was getting tired, so he offered me $20. And I thought about all the things I could do with that $20, and I could spend, you know, I could spend it on my friends. Back then, candy was like a penny. I was gonna give everybody some candy. Because my teacher told me one time when I was chewing some gum in class, she said, if you don't have enough for everybody, then you don't have enough for nobody, and you can't have them. So you know me, you know how we get. I'm gonna bring everybody some candy. That was my goal. And we walked and walked, and he knew I was tired. And so when he offered me, that gave me a little bit more incentive. In the Bronx of New York, we have buildings that are connected together, and then they have like an alleyway that opens up back out to the sky. But that's usually where we put our trash at. And I remember him walking with me and him taking me into this building. I knew danger was awaiting me, but I didn't have the faculties at 10 to maneuver what was about to happen. I knew it wasn't going to be a good thing. I remember him looking around, looking at the floor. And I seen his eyes fixated on a piece of rope. It was really like a extension cord from the telephone line. And I picked it up and I said, this is what you want? He said, yeah. And then he took me up the fire escape, and he took me into one of the abandoned apartments that had a bunch of dirt all over the floor. It had clothes over there, and it had a mattress on the floor. And he proceeded to put his penis in my mouth. He put his penis in my ass and in my vagina. And that was my introduction to sex. So, you know, like most women, we can't keep that story. You know, I grew up on Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and, you know, Sleeping Beauty. And I'm going to tell you something. Sometimes I still wait for that handsome prince to come and save the damsel in distress. Every woman that I know of, and don't let nobody fool you, is waiting for her handsome prince. And so for me, as I grew older, I realized one thing from that experience with that man. I realized that, okay, men associate sex with money. So any guy that I ever got with, they will tell you that I really had no desire for them, none whatsoever. And I did some things I wasn't too kind of. My story doesn't deal with prostitution. My story deals with stick-ups. I always like the click clock of the Glock. I always like to see men squirm. the same way he made me feel. And I knew that they liked me. It wasn't until I went into treatment, I had no desire for men. I had the inability to love. They would go to my parents talking about they love me, they want to marry me, but your daughter just won't. And my father used to always sit me down and say, look, Tanya, you can't use people. See, I didn't have to come to Narcotics Anonymous to know the spiritual principles that we talk about inside here. My spiritual principles was bestowed in my spirit ever since I was a child. As I said, my parents were my first sponsors. When I went to treatment and I started hearing about men and the experience that they had went through. You know, we're a part of a movement, and we use all kind of sayings or whatever, but most of the time inside Narcotics Anonymous, we really sitting here saying, me too. When we share our story and we share our pain, you're going to get some me toos. It's the me too that keeps us here. We're more alike than we are different. And so I remember those men pain, and I made a promise back in 1986 that I would never be with a man in my life who I did not love. And so whether the relationships worked out or they didn't work out, I can truly say that I've honored that part of my life. People have a right to change their mind at any time. And so for me, I told you about getting my place, and I told you about all the things that we get when we go through those programs and stuff like that, that social ability stuff. And it wasn't until I came into Narcotics Anonymous, and really it came because I was on a date. I was on a date with my ex that I met in treatment. We stayed together for about 3 to 4 years. We broke up, right? And then we got back together. He tricked me because I hadn't seen him in a while, and he invited me to come meet him downtown at a place in New York where all the addicts hang out. It's a well-known place. I don't endorse anything, so I will not mention it. But you know, if you were there, you know, or you heard. And I met him down there. I met him after work. And he said, come on, I want you to go. Because he asked me, was I clean? And I had told him that I had relapsed. I said, but I'm still clean. I'm still doing what I got to do or whatever. Because let me tell you something. Once you know, you can't pretend that you don't know. Like once you ever get a taste of a treatment facility, NA or whatever, your high will never be the same. And so if you're still chasing it, we want to tell you, stop. And save yourself some money and save yourself some time. But we know that we can't stop an addict that wants to use. Our literature tells us we could be beaten, stomped, choked, threatened, kicked out the window, stabbed. I mean, it tells us that, and we know that because every time somebody shares their experience, strength, and hope, and they're your discussion leader at a meeting, all they're doing is a 4-step conversation with you. They're telling you their story. And sometimes we sit there and we be saying, ooh, you went through that. And I know because I sat in the meeting when I got to NA and he took me to the meeting. I started listening to y'all in the meeting because, you know, I didn't qualify yet. I'm nothing like them dope fiends with them big hands, right? So you sitting there trying to find ways to disqualify why you don't. And let me just say this. I came into Narcotics Anonymous maybe about 50 pounds lighter than what I was. I did not look like an addict. And that's why we got to be very vigilant. When people come to our home group, it's important that we look for the sick and suffering addict because our literature says that the addict today is going to be more fortunate. And they may not come in with black feet and run over shoes. He may drive up there in a Jaguar. But our job is to look and listen for people who come into our meetings and to help them to flame the fires of their desire because they don't want to be there. I didn't want to be there. When y'all started talking inside the meeting, I wish I had some popcorn though, because some of your stories were good. Back then, them dope fiends was telling it. They were telling their story. Not like today. Not like today, we like to hide. We look at who's inside the meeting. And yes, I understand that it says in our literature that sharing can be risky at times. It is risky at times. Our literature too, and living the program just for the day, it says there are some people that will come in here and continue to use other people. They will never change. And that's in the basic text. Now, I know a lot of y'all like to go to those newer books, but I'm going to tell you, start with the basic text. Don't let nobody rob you of the benefits of this program and have you be someplace that you ain't ready to go to. You enjoy your journey, newcomer. Enjoy being new. I don't know about you. I always wanted to grow up and be so grown. When I got grown and I looked at all of the bad decisions that I made, I wanted just to go back into the womb and try it again. If only I could just change some things, I probably would have enjoyed my youth a little bit better. I probably wouldn't have rushed to get into relationships so fast. And so we come inside this fellowship, and I came inside this room, and I was young, and them dope fiends were sitting there. And I'm going to tell you something. Those women and those men, they loved us to death. They loved us. Now, I know y'all hear that we said in the room that they would tell us to shut the blank up and sit the blank down. And in some cases they did. But see, it was their fault, the dope fiends' fault. Because you should know that you cannot give no crackhead no coffee. So of course we was in there. And every time we were talking, and I think, you know, the dope fiend who's cool was saying, yo, will you shut the up? But now we've learned, cut down on the coffee, add a little extra water, because these nutcases here. And now we in a different era now. We got to cut it. Matter of fact, we need to just cut out the coffee, because the ones that's coming today, we don't know what the blank y'all on, right? And so I go inside the meeting and I'm listening to the stories and I'm saying, I ain't do that. Now, you know, you say it to yourself, I ain't do that. I ain't do that. No wonder why you here, because you did that. And my sponsor heard me share that in a meeting one time. And she said, Miss, got your blank together? Bend down. She said, people who got their blank together, they don't come to Narcotics Anonymous. Effed up people do. And then she looked me in my face and she said, welcome. Boy, this non-cursing thing is killing me here. I'll be wanting to let loose. You know, there's no other words. You know, we addicts, we love those kind of words, right? And I'm working on it, right? And so I remember sitting there. She told me, I want you to learn to listen and listen to learn. I need you to take the cotton out your ear and put it in your mouth. See, back then we didn't raise our hand as often as we see today. We have members that got to share every hour on the hour, and y'all gonna find the right literature. Just like when we go to those other places, we find that one thing to justify why we're gonna treat you the way that we're gonna treat you. And we hear that thing, anything that affects our recovery is sharing material in the meeting. That's true. But we take a burning desire when it's that pressing. But when we get here, it's real important that we learn to listen and we allow those people who have come before us to show us how this program works. You know, Jimmy Case said, and I think he said it in 1956 when he attended his first Narcotics Anonymous convention. He said, there are two things that's going to plague us. But one of the problems we're going to have is that we have a major problem with authority. We don't like people telling us what to do. But how many of y'all know this is a tell your blank what to do program? We tell you to make 90 meetings in 90 days, get yourself a sponsor, right? We tell you to make phone calls, to dial them and not foul them. We tell you to get yourself a home grill. So, but we pass it off as suggestions. And back then they used to put it in the book that a suggestion was a settled command. What we're really doing is we're asking you nicely to let us help you. And I know nobody wants to be new. Nobody wants to be the new kid on the block. Everybody wants to be familiar. Everybody wants to be comfortable. But when I tell you those women, when I came around, y'all, they loved us. And no, we didn't hang with our sponsors then. Not like y'all want now. I love my sponsors and I enjoy their company. But my sponsor didn't let me hang out with her because my sponsor had her own friends. Now, my sponsor joined my home group. Her name is Susan T. Susan is deceased now. Susan was a white woman from the Lower East Side. I was a Bronx girl that lived out there in the country. Listen, I was a pretend addict. I was a bougie chick from the Bronx. Susan was a real dope fiend. I called Dorothy. She used to talk like this. How you doing, baby? She was the woman that I read in the book, but she was a white woman and she didn't take no crap. Susan had 10 years when she became my sponsor. She had already, and back then it was like almighty ISIS. We didn't talk back to our sponsors. We didn't second guess our sponsors. We didn't hire and fire like we do today. The only time you should be changing a sponsor, not because they didn't tell you what you want to hear, it's because their audio is not matching their video. It tells us that we have to watch out for people, places, and things both inside and outside of the rooms. It warns us all the time. And yes, if you see that you got a sponsor and you got a sponsor that's not working the steps and they sponsoring you, all they're doing is passing on a disease. I suggest you look and listen for another sponsor. They said, look for someone that's reasonably happy, someone that's kind of like progressing in their life, right? That's what it said. Look for someone who's reasonably happy. You got problems, your sponsor got problems, and before you could finish telling your sponsor the problem, the sponsor telling you their problem, get another sponsor. And let me tell you something, and sponsors are no, we're not therapists. We don't lean on, we ain't gonna sit up there and listen to all that nonsense just for you to get your point out. Sometimes we gonna say with that frackinackle bull crap you about to talk, no, we're not gonna go through this. We're gonna stop you in your tracks. We're not gonna listen to the disease. We wanna hear about recovery. And no, we're not going to lay you on the couch and ask you, tell me about your childhood. That only comes in the fourth step. The fourth step gives you an opportunity to talk about anything and everything. So let me share some of this. So when I first came to Narcotics Anonymous, I was powerless. And my life was unmanageable. At 25, I was about to destroy my life again. I had let the monkey out the cage. And it wanted to be a gorilla. And I knew what the gorilla had caused my family. I didn't want that anymore. And I knew I had made a mistake. And so I cried out to the God of my understanding. I said, God, help me again. See, God had helped me the first time because he told me when I cried out in the bathroom, God told me, Tanya, what's going on? Because God did come. And I told him what happened. And God said to me, Tanya, I need for you to go home and help will be on the way tomorrow. That's when I went to that treatment facility. I messed up. It says that sometimes we'll make mistakes, but it's important that we get back onto the program. I didn't know about the Narcotics Anonymous program, but I knew to put one foot in front of the other, take it one day at a time, right? I didn't even know I was using the slogans before I got here. And so as I came back in there one day at a time, and my friend told me, Tanya, you can't stay clean on mere abstinence alone. That's why he invited me down there on that date. And so as I continued to do the work that I needed to do, and I came in there and I listened to those predecessors, those people who have found a way out. And let me tell you something. They didn't mimic me. They didn't make me feel bad because I didn't talk like them. I didn't walk like them. I didn't speak like them. They accepted me right for who I was. I didn't have to change my language. I didn't have to change my style, right? But what I did have to do is change my behavior. The things that eventually we learned through a sponsor that we have to change in order for us to grow spiritually in this program. You cannot come into a spiritual program, practice unspiritual behavior, and think that God is going to bless you. Because it talks about we have a God that does govern this fellowship. And it says it's loving, caring, and greater than you. And ain't that much damage you can do in there that God can't fix. And if you don't believe me, you see we on these virtual things. God shut this world down. And he shut the fellowship down. And he said, look, I'm not too pleased with what's going on. I gave y'all each other to love each other, and I brought each other in each other's lives to help you to find a way out. And this is how you repay me? I told you who was an addict. Why are y'all still asking yourself, am I an addict? Am I not an addict? I gave you a book that said, this is what an addict is. I told you what my program is about and what it's not about. I even told you why you're here, why I brought you here. Did you forget when you cried out to me? Did you forget when you cried out to me? When you said, God help me? I know that's what I said. It talked about a force. It tells us in the literature about a force that was working in our lives way before we met each other in Narcotics Anonymous. You think God just brought you here just by osmosis? Oh, let me go visit the junkies and see what they're doing. I don't know about you, but I'm here because I have a major problem with drugs, and I still have a major problem with drugs. Let me not be able to cope with some of my issues in my life. I like to go and smooth that over. I am the addict that my predecessors, when y'all come into that circle, I am the addict that you prayed for. You asked me to get here, and then we get here, and some of y'all treat us disrespectfully. Some of us are mean to one another. You know, they told me that an addict who's in this fellowship, who does not work this program, who do not do the steps, are more dangerous to me than an addict in the street. It's in our literature. Hopefully, we've been reading it. I've been here 30 years, and there's some things that I still didn't know were still in the book. It tells me that an addict in these rooms, who God has brought to you to care for me, to help me to flame the fires of my desire, some of y'all ignited. And that's not why God brought us together. He told us to get a message, to learn how to carry that message, because we got work to do. We got work to do in here. And those who have found a way out, you are responsible and you are compelled to help the next sick and suffering addict. It's not an option. That's why we can't keep what we have unless we give it away. That's the trade-off. It tells us that we some selfish, self-seeking, self-centered people. But God said not in his program. So sometimes when I see you doing something, that sometimes I want to say, let them figure it out for themselves. God touches the inner part of my spirit and say, did they let you just go ahead and walk through the door and hit your head and bump your head? Or did they tell you, watch that light, you're getting ready to hit your head? And so it's real important that we read our literature, because it talks about we are each other's eyes and ears, and none of us can spot our own deception. And we have a disease that is cunning, baffling, and insidious. Some of us have come inside these rooms and we believe, I got mine's, MF, you get yours. That's not what Narcotics Anonymous is about. And so I started seeing early on in recovery that some of these people wasn't right. Because I came to believe that there was a power greater than y'all. Like some of y'all wasn't living like you said you was. Y'all told us to follow you, we followed you, and I didn't like what I saw. And even though I was to the people now, we got a lot of newcomers in there, but they ain't dumbcomers, and they can spot BS a mile a minute. They keep telling you in the literature, they said the addict is more fortunate. So it's real important that we help each other to flame the fires of desire. And for me, it was when I got to the third step, when I finally made the decision. This is the first time that God allowed me to make a decision. He said, Tanya, you can make a decision because the only requirement I'm going to give you as God is for you to have a desire. Tanya, do you want to stop using drugs? Do you really want to change? And I said, yes. And many people ask, well, Tanya, how do you know when you've really made the decision to turn your life and your will over to God? I'll tell you how, because it says right there in the literature that we proceed and move on to step 4. This is the chance. This is a great step. People get afraid of the step, but this is the step when God says, you know what? I'm going to give you an opportunity to tell me every justifiable reason why you believe that you got high. And boy, we be like, that's right. And we start writing and blaming. And I remember I tried to blame my parents. My mother said, look, let me tell you something. I know you going to those people and I'm glad they helping you, but I ain't smoked no crack and your father ain't smoked no crack. You better go on back to those people and y'all can go ahead and keep talking in y'all little meetings. But me nor your father smoked crack. Thank God I had a sponsor that helped me sort through the contradiction and confusion and the chaos of my life. And I told her everything that had happened to me. I told her about the rape. I told her about the things that I had done that I'm not too proud of. And my sponsor said at times, me too. Me too. And I remember I was afraid at first to tell her how much of a bad person that I had believed that I was. And I remember going to her house, and I'm gonna tell you something. She had that little IKEA furniture, you know, the one you got to sit on dainty because you're afraid you might break it, right? But we have to understand them dope fiends, they didn't have much. We are fortunate. They didn't have the opportunity to have the greatest of jobs. But I'm gonna tell you what they had. They learned to have the greatest of integrity. And when one of them dope fiends brought you home to their house, it was an honor. Because you don't know who you got coming to your house. Now, we don't do that now. Don't let everybody come to your house. We don't do that no more. We meet y'all at the coffee shop. That's why we meet people at coffee shop. We got to check you out and see what you all about. We be letting y'all tell it, okay, won't be at mine, but we still can practice spirituality and love. I went to her house and she said, Tanya, she was making some coffee because that's what they did. And she said, Tanya, you look frightened. Why are you so frightened? And I told her why I was frightened. And I got honest and I said, listen, where I come from, we don't hang with white people. We robbed them. I lived in the projects. Y'all came down to the projects and we would rob you. And what I realized that here was a woman who was so kind to me. I was afraid that I would do something in my adequate behavior that might change and transform our relationship. And I told her, I said, I'm afraid that I'm gonna hurt you. She said, you hurt me? Because, you know, I'm a tall girl, got a deep voice, right? I was slim and I was even taller looking. And my sponsor said to me, she said, you hurt me? I said, yeah, me hurt you. She said, okay. She gave me that coffee and stirred it up, told me to drink it. She went in the room, came back, brought this big old hat box, put it on the table, pulled out this 51-page manuscript and told me to read it. And I went to read it. And it was my sponsor's felony arrest record. She was a violent predicate felon from New York State. And she said, are you still worried about you hurting me? Now, either you're going to get stuck on my whiteness or do you want me to help you to recover? Now, what do you want to do? And you know what I said? I said, I'll take the recovery for 200. We never had that conversation anymore. That woman guided me for the first 10 years of my life in recovery. I moved down here to Georgia because I was going to commit a murder-suicide. My mate, who I'd been with for over 23 years, who I stayed with, that y'all told me to stay away from people, places, and things, who I didn't stay away from. He was out there using. I didn't want to leave him behind. I kept praying that he would come in here and find this new way of life, and he didn't. And as a direct of his own inability to work on the things that he did and come out and tell me who he truly was, he infected me with the virus. I stayed inside Narcotics Anonymous, and I got to Georgia because I was a federal law enforcement officer back then, and I had a license to carry, and I was going to kill him and kill me. See, I wasn't a promiscuous girl. I was the type that went to work, came home, took care of my child, took care of my mate, and it happened. Now I had a choice. Do you live or do you die? Now it's different if I was out there prostituting and hoeing. That come with the territory. You get what you get. But how do you bring poison into my own home? Because of your own inability to be honest and tell me that you might like boys too. And then how do you survive inside a fellowship where they don't come in, but you're still here? And when you share your story, at times you got some people who will take your story and try to use it against you. Thank God I got a 12-step program. Thank God I got steps and traditions and concepts. My steps help me to get better with me, and my tradition helped me to keep my hands off of you. And sometimes we got to pray and ask God to help us. And so I'm so grateful for being in this awesome fellowship. Y'all told me about the 6 step. Y'all told me, my sponsor told me as we began to talk, and she told me, Tanya, these are your character defects. I said, ooh, let me get rid of them because I've been clean for about a year or two. See, back then they didn't rush us to the steps. They didn't make us go to the steps. The first 90 days, they told us go to open meeting so you can find and learn our language so y'all can stop messing up our daggone language. They made the older members who had already came there to come back, and that's why we were oohing and on looking at y'all, because y'all was smelling good, looking good. And as a direct result of your behavior, we wanted what you had. It was based on attraction rather than promotion. Y'all didn't promote anything. You told your story. You told it what it was like, what it's like now, and what it's like, and what you plan to do in the future. They talked about the lost dreams that were found and the new horizons that would awaken in your life. And so you gave hopeless people a sense of hope. That's what my predecessors did for me. So when we come in here, it's not always about sharing about the pain. Sometimes you come in here, sometimes you got to get out of you and offer that newer member who got 5 felony arrest records that think that their life is doom and gloom. And you can say, listen, you too can have a rewarding life. Your life is not over. So when we start sharing certain things of how we come and how we've grown in this fellowship, it's not to be braggadocious, but we understand crabs in the barrel. It's very hard for us to wish the best for the next addict. We understand that. I already told you we come from a place, I got mines, and MF, you got yours. But God tells us that we learn to get a message, and we learn how to carry a message of hope, not of sorrow. I came in here, and from the day I came in, I kept on working, and I kept on doing what I had to do. I live a life that's second to none. The 6 step told me these are the character defects that you need to work on, and my sponsor said these are the things that take you away from being a phenomenal woman that you are, Tanya. And I said, ooh, help me get rid of it, because I had been clean about 2 to 3 years. And she said, Tanya, I can't remove them, but I know who can. Remember that God that you said, that you cried out to? You remember that force that was working in your life way before you got to us? I'm gonna need you to call on that force now. And when you call on that force, I need you to humble yourself, because God searches the heart. And I did. I said, God, take me away, because that's not how my parents raised me. And I didn't have a lot of things that I had to work on because I was very young when I got here. And I had home training before I got here. Just like I knew in the street who I could rob and get away with and who I better not to try to rob and get away with. I practiced the same thing in all my affairs. I understand. I don't know from which pain or which rock you've crawled from under, but I know one thing. It had to be pretty painful for you to get here. And so we do no harm. After I then went and I went to God, God said, Tanya, I hear you and I know that you're serious about this. So what I need for you to do, I'm gonna need you to write a list for anybody that you think that you've harmed. I said that was gonna be easy because I didn't hurt that many people. I'm only 25. And when I began to write, and he said, and when you write, I need you to write down their name. I need you to write down everything that you did. I said, God, I can't remember all this stuff. He said, don't worry. And I'm here to tell you that if you're worried about any step that God will always prepare you for. God prepared me for that step. And in this preparation of the step, what God did for me is God turned around and he gave me all the people he brought back to my memory, the people I had caused harm. And I know a lot of us sometimes say, most of all, we harmed ourselves. We so selfish. We always got to throw ourselves in it. But guess what? We had an opportunity in the fourth step to tell everything that other people did for us. This step is to be done for us to clear up the wreckage of our past so that we can move in the future. And so I did that. I didn't know about the ninth step. And when that time came, everybody that I had caused harm, except for one young lady, I have not been able to ever find her. I've looked on all these different places. I went to school with her. I bullied her. I was a victim of bullying. You know, it's already, we always want to get, but nobody wants to be got. I grew up with parents that did not allow us to fight. I got tired of that growing up in New York City. Oh, the next one gonna get it. But I realized that's not who I wanted to be. That's not who I am. And so I had to change and transform that behavior. After I cleared up everything, because I told God that the only reason why I would do that list is if he get that man that raped me, and God told me that he would get him. And then God said to me, Tanya, you've cleared everything up. And I've seen you clear up the wreckage of your past. And I know you asked me, and you told me that the only reason why you would do it is if I get the man that raped me. I want to tell you, I caught him a year later after he raped me. He did go to jail, but that wasn't enough for me. That women still deal with the brunt of abuse and harm. It doesn't matter how old we become. But we also know that we have to get better by doing the work. It is not the people in our present life that deserve to keep dealing with our unresolved issues. So I got rid of that early on. I remember that in talking with the God of my understanding, God said, Tanya, I'm going to get him because I promised you that I would get him. He said, but let me just remind you of something. You remember when you was about 16, but you want to play like you was 12 so that you can minimize what you did? I remember the little boy that you was babysitting and all that other stuff, and you was ready to have sex, and you tried to put his little penis in your vagina. You remember that? I said, yeah. He said, Tanya, if I go get him, I'm going to have to get you too. Or would you rather me show you the same mercy that I've shown him in order for you to feel my grace? So we learn to give people a pass. There are many of us sitting in these virtual rooms right now as I begin to close who are victims, who some things that were done to us that we wasn't too proud of. And there's some things that we've done that we wasn't too proud of. And we want God to get them. We want God to take it away. But the greatest thing that we have to learn inside here is forgiveness. Because some of these people are gone. And we also have to come in here and do the work. See, that's my saying. Everybody knows I get on about doing the work. I've been here long enough to see there's a lot of people, like we want to throw around this clean time and how much time we got, right? And we'll throw it around 20 years, 15 years, 34 years, with all these other, but how much recovery do you have? Because it talks about Recovery is about more than just mere abstinence. You got to do the work, baby. You got to stop the harm, stop the bleeding, stop the pain. Some of us have been in recovery for years and you still don't have a relationship with your kids. Your family's still in disarray. You still cursing your wife out. You still cursing your husband out. You still cheating on your spouse. You still lying. You still calling women in and out of the room, and you passing them around like the seventh tradition, knowing that you don't want to be with them, and you still causing harm, but you've heard our story. I'm gonna tell you something, that some of these women, y'all getting just as bad as these men. You screwing them and don't even want to be bothered with them either, because you've gotten to the point that you don't think that your handsome prince is ever going to come. But let me tell you something. It says, never have we ever seen anybody who lived this way of life ever go back to using. And we also talk about that we don't box God. God can do anything in our lives. So I want to tell you, I got to the 10th step with God after I cleared the wreckage in the past, because I told God, God, give me the same mercy that I want you to give him, because we don't always get it right. We all make mistakes, and we hope that people don't nail us to the cross. But some people nail you to the cross just because. There's nothing that Tanya J has done in her life, in the successful life that I've had, that you can't have either. God don't just reign on the just in the rooms and the unjust. God reigns on us all. He loves all his children. And so what I have to ask myself, and I do in the last 20 years of my life, I sit down and I get that pamphlet out, right, called Living the Program. And I ask myself questions all the time. Did I treat you with love? Did I treat you with kindness? When I find I don't understand situations, right? I have an 11th step that tells me I need you to pray to me, Tanya, and wait on my answer. That's what prayer and meditation is about. You call out to the God of your understanding, the God of your understanding. You pray to him, it, she, whatever, and you wait on God's answer. And I promise you, when you start to transform your life, you're going to have a spiritual awakening. And you're going to try to the best of your ability to carry this message to an addict, any addict. You're going to tell them that our message is hope, and that our promise is freedom, that an addict, any addict, can stop using. You too can lose that desire to use, and you can find this new way to live. My name is Tanya J. from Snellville, Georgia. Thank you for allowing me to share my experience, strength.
Tanya, you brought it, sister.
Oh, thank you, girl.
Thank you.
so much,
Tanya.
Told you, I told you, I told you, I told you.
Yes, sister, you did it again.
Told you.
New York to Atlanta. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, baby. Transplant.
Thank God. Peanut butter,
Thank you for
peanut
dropping
butter,
the mic,
peanut
bro.
butter, peanut butter.
That's my girl, Tanya.
Ah,
That was
girl,
100
Dropping
proof.
the mic.
You
drop the mic.
Drop
Drop
the
the
mic.
mic.
Oh, drop the mic, girl.
Boom.
What a great opening.
Thank you, Tanya.
We're off and running. We're off and running here in Georgia.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. Love you, Tanya.
Let's
I love
roll.
you.
We just getting started.
Thank you,
Oh,
George.
Love you.
Thank you
Oh,
to our interpreter, too. She was awesome.
Wasn't she?
absolutely. You did a great job. Great
Hey,
job.
Liliana. Hey, Dolores.
Great
Hey,
job.
Isabel.
Man, that was
Look at my girls.
awesome.
Awesome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Atlanta.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Western area. Thank you, the entire Georgia. Thank you for allowing me to stay clean one day at a time.
thank you for keeping it real.
Good job, Tanya.
Feel like I'm in the right place now, Tanya. I done got a chance to hear your voice. Hey, Cheryl.
It all makes sense.
What a testimony right there. Praise the Lord.
Hey, Tanya.
It all makes sense.
Somewhere, Tanya.
Ah,
That sounds like my girl, Gloria. Hey, Gloria.
You know.
I love you.
I love y'all too. Thank you for coming out, New
Hey,
York. I appreciate
Poncho.
it. Hey, Dolores. Hey, make sure y'all tell Jeff R that I said thank you for his hospitality, and make sure you let all Gretna know, all the committee members, tell them we said thank you. Thank you for making this an awesome experience for us.
Tanya, I'm his wife, and I'll make sure he knows.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jay and Joshua.
All right, whoa, whoa, whoa,
Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Ben.
Incoming
KCB. KCB.
Going down in the ATL.
Thank you, George.
Somebody gonna do the part here. I just didn't want to not be here when she got here.
You're going somewhere.
It's okay, I'm gonna leave this. I was at a meeting and it's so.
Don't y'all be meeting me like that.
I know, right? Did they mute you? Hey everyone, my name is Josh. I'm an addict.
Hey, Josh.
Gosh.
That was phenomenal, huh?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Nice. We still have a few minutes. I did want to take the time and again and check with any of you if you've had any problems or if you have any questions about how you're navigating through Zoom. You've got several hosts and co-hosts here. Again, I want to remind everyone that of our merchandise that we have. If we can put that again in the chat, that would be great. And you can also go to GRCNA.org, and you can go in there under next to Convention Hall there where it says register. Click on register, and you can actually go in there and see our merchandise. I think Seth will take us. Well, right now the 7th edition. Also, you can donate via PayPal. We had this in the beginning using registration at GRCNA.org. You can also donate using Venmo at Georgia Regional CONV-40. Again, if it asks for the last 4 digits of the phone number, it's 0387. You can also donate via the website by registering or making a newcomer donation. That is www.grcna.org. Why does that say com? So you can go into
smartphone.com. That's correct.
Okay. So you can also go into grcna.org and click on register, and it will take you to newcomer donation, the same place that you can also get merchandise. And you can go to grcna.com/shop/. Let's see here. Merchandise. So see Tori shared over on the right hand side. Thank you, Tori. It's pretty cool. Saw that earlier. It's our artwork, our t-shirts, mugs. And Seth, that is GRCNA.org, correct? Or GRCNA.com? That's GRCNA.com. Perfect. I'm going to change this view. Thank you. So again, Tanya, thank you very much. It's been a little while since I maybe shed a tear there in a share, and I loved where you shared that God had asked you if you wanted the same grace shown to you, and I can relate to that. So I really appreciate that. If you want to bring the readings back up on the screen, I would appreciate that, please. We have someone with their hand raised. That's ASL Brett. So is that right?
Yes, can you spotlight Brett, please?
Yeah.
I'm on it. Thank you. Ooh, 1 second.
I'm sorry, is this for readings?
No, we
we're
have a member that's going to share.
Spotlight Brett.
Go ahead, Brett. Hello, everyone. My name is Brett, and I'm an addict.
Hey, Brett.
I didn't know if it was about sharing or not, or burning desire, what specifically, but I was driving and I wanted to thank the speaker. Wow, she really touched my heart. And I'm going to a Friday night speaker meeting. And, you know, before we didn't have very many meetings. And I know in Washington at the Clean and Free convention here, but that closed down, and I'm so grateful. So in March, I think it was in the 2nd or 3rd week. Anyway, I'm grateful for Laura, the interpreter. And recently today, I joined an app. Then I was able to come in, and someone asked me if I wanted to go drinking with them. And I know that I needed to just go for a drive. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to keep on going into these NA meetings, because I know there's people that have many years clean, and I thank you for that. And I'm going to keep coming back because I want what you have. And I know that you love your life and the gifts of recovery. Wow, it's been amazing. So NA works. It's powerful. My sponsor, I'm working my 5th step, soon to start 6th, and I'm really excited about my journey. And you know, I'm so grateful for NA members, and to understand that we have that me too, I'm an addict also. And if you're new, and if you've never heard of us, come to the Never Alone Deaf group. It's really been great to be in service there and to have that feedback. So thank you for NADG, because I found my home group there. I found my sponsor, and I'm just so grateful. So will have 8 months clean soon, but I do know that I have just for today. So thank you for letting me share, because I do have a little bit of frustrations inside. It's like a cancer eating me up, you know? And so I have to express that and share it honestly. And I feel so much better. Thank you. And if you're new, keep coming back. Just keep coming back. They told me 90 meetings in 90 days, and I did that. But another person said 90 meetings, 90 days, and another 90. So that means 90 meetings, 90 days, and you meet 90 new people. And I had started to understand that. And I started to expand my network and reaching out to other people. And it's just been such an amazing journey. It's mostly going upwards. I'm grateful for that. I love my NA family. Thank you, NA rocks.
Welcome,
awesome.
sister. We love you.
We love you. We need you.
Yeah, we got to pass on the flame of recovery.
All right, someone else. Someone else had their hands raised.
Clarissa. No more hands, Josh. Just people giving hearts to Brett.
Okay, that was awesome. All right, is there anyone have a burning desire?
Addict named Matt.
Hey, Matt. Matt's going to tell you what it is.
I got a burning desire to stay clean and pass this message and hold on to y'all and love y'all and just keep coming back and be in this thing and you know, for life. I'm a lifer.
I like that burning desire.
Love you, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Good to see you, brother.
My burning desire.
Love you, Matt.
And at the 9:45. Hey, Mike Sapp. Hey, brother. Good to see you. You're aging well.
All right, we got Cheryl. Thank you. We got Cheryl D.
Hey, family. My name's Cheryl, and I'm a grateful recovering addict. I don't have a burning desire, but I just want to share right quick. First, I just need to thank God for everything. You know, I am so excited about this Zoom platform. This thing is the best thing since sliced bread. Listen, let me tell y'all something. I done ran into a lot of addicts, you know, and I'm like, what y'all been doing since the pandemic? And they like, I'm doing meetings on Zoom. They're like, I don't do Zoom. I don't do Zoom. I'm doing Zoom, and Zoom is definitely doing me. Let me tell y'all something. About 3 weeks ago, I ran into these people, these addicts on a Zoom meeting, and they got this thing called, if you look there, it say Cheryl D, 50 NA meetings in 50 states. And we go from state to state, you know, just zooming in on people's meetings, you know, and it's about 150 of us. You know, we done been to Utah, Hawaii, we done been to Africa, we done been everywhere. Because had it not been for this platform, I would have never gone to those places. I would have never met some of the most awesomest people that I have met. So I am so grateful. Narcotics Anonymous is the BOMB with 20 exclamation points. Thanks for letting me share.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cheryl. I want to join. Could you put that in the chat, please? I want to go.
I will.
Perfect. All right. Thanks, Cheryl. Ray?
Oh, no, I was just clapping in the chat, just a general clap.
I thought maybe you were waving your hand sideways.
No.
There is no one else. At this time, we're getting ready to bring the screen back up. We got Clarissa.
Hey family, my name's Clarissa and I'm an addict. I just want to say hi. I love you guys. I miss Atlanta. I miss you. I love. So I was living in Atlanta for a year until the pandemic hit and I got sick and scared and came back home to Pensacola, Florida. But thanks to Zoom, I promise you, I feel like I'm still in Atlanta. Like I've been Zooming since March the 13th, March the 14th of last year. I started doing the Zoom platform in Narcotics Anonymous, and I've been able to stay in touch with all my friends in Atlanta, all my friends all over, and I'm just grateful. When I got this text that there was a convention this weekend, and when I went on the platform and I was able to register, like that was the best $10. $10, I don't think that was enough. I mean, it felt so good to register for a convention. I think that was the highlight of my day, to register. Anyway, I love you guys. Thanks for letting me share.
Thanks, Tanya.
Oh, and Tanya and I anniversary. Tanya and I have the same anniversary month. Tanya and I, we have the same anniversary month. So last week we both celebrated our 30 years.
Congratulations, Clarissa, on your 30 years.
Yeah, sorry. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
We've got Robert, Miss Marcina, and then Gloria. And we're down to a few minutes, guys. Robert M.
Yeah, my name is Robert. I'm a good recovery addict. Tanya says you always got a powerful message first and foremost. I just thinking that I love you to pieces. Secondly, you know, the burning fire part, you know, I recently fell victim to a scam and I walked into it blindly, you know, and here I am finding myself owing some finances that I really don't have because I need to get the finances to some other areas of my life that are more important than just me by myself. You know, what I realized is I didn't walk into the hole by myself. I walked into this hole with my entire family and, you know, involved. And so it really has me concerned. At first I was like, you know, in the addict mind, in my addict thought, the immediate emotion was like, you know, I need to get this, you know, and Tanya, you're talking about like, you know, God saying he's gonna get and all that. And so what I need to do is get a hold of who did this so I can just cut them wide open and pour some acid down them and stuff like that, you know, just that revenge mind frame. But as I began to process and talk with my sponsor and support, you know, they pulled me into the solution. My wife was really big on doing that too. I couldn't hear it that day, but now it's like, you know, like, what about when I was getting people out there in my addiction and I was doing it? So even with time in the program, you're talking about, yeah, you got time, but you got recovery. So this is the time where when life shows up, we get to apply those things that we learn. And it's not always the easiest thing to do, you know, so I'm fighting through a lot of guilt and shame to admit, like, yeah, I fell victim to a scam, but I also feel empowered to provide this in case that it might help someone else in that process who might have like experiences. What I know is that I must not use no matter what, you know, and so that's going to involve me feeling a whole bunch of emotions and sitting through a lot of uncomfortability and all that. But I'm thankful for the program who has provided me strength to at least stand, or not thinking about, hey, I need to go get non-filling, whatever that looked like, you know. So I don't want to eat up much time, and I just wanted to say, like, my burning desire is, like, you know, the immediacy for revenge ain't a necessity for me to do. I realize that I can respond or react, and so which one am I choosing? So my reaction is going to do something about it in my will. You know, God ain't got nothing to do with that area. My response is to practice the acceptance and surrender of the situation and watch how God work that out. So I'm just trusting the process. I'm in a bad area. Y'all please lift my family up in prayer. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. All right, Ms. Marcino.
Hi, I think it's just important for me personally to say to Tanya, oh my gosh, you are amazing. You're brave. Everything that you spoke on tonight, it was like walking through my life exactly. I was with you step by step. I was right there on every time you changed positions and redirected the conversation. I was right there with you, and I know all that is so familiar to me. And to have or hear someone put it in words, what I've been feeling emotionally, what I've lived in my own life, the craziness in my head, the confusion. I didn't know how to get it out. I didn't know how to speak on it. I don't know how to. I haven't worked my stats. I'm only 69 days clean, but to know that eventually I can get where you are is amazing. And I want to thank you personally. And you made a very big difference in my life today. Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria. We got just a few seconds here.
You must not know me. I can talk. Never mind.
That's all right.
That's okay.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good. You got 2 seconds. We just did it.
Perfect. Well,
okay, it's fine.
We love you. Can you bring the readings back up on the screen, please? I'd like to thank everyone, especially our speaker, Tanya J. Again, we love you. It was
Thank
a
you,
wonderful
Tanya,
job.
for sharing.
Hey, Tanya, why don't you take number 8 and read that and lead us out?
Hi, family. My name is Tanya J. I'm a blessed recovering addict.
Tanya.
Hey, Tanya.
We formed this virtual meeting to show what we can't do alone, that we can do together. With an addict in my virtual right, my virtual left, I have no excuse to use. Let's take a moment, bow our heads with a moment of silence, followed by the sweet version of the Serenity Prayer. And as we take that moment of silence, let's pray for the addict who has gone back out there. Let's pray that they find their way back into a virtual meeting or a brick and mortar meeting. Let's take a moment and pray for them.
Guardián, hijo, guardián, arriba.
Grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change.
Encourage things we can't,
and the wisdom to know the difference. Coming.
The wisdom to know the
mess we are.
And Laura, too.
I went over there. Thank y'all.
Thank you guys for putting the thing together. Everything's great.
Yes, it's going phenomenal.
All makes sense.
I also want to thank you, China.
Thank you.
China, you've been signing all day long. I've been watching you, young lady. Thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you, Laura.
That's
Great
right.
job.
Thank you, Laura.
Fantastic job.
George, thank you too. George and Kerry, I want to thank y'all all. And I just want to thank everybody, just everybody from Atlanta, everybody that's come from near and far. We need each other. We need each other to survive.
I'm virtually.
PH, thank you, brother.
Tanya,
And Josh, thank you for your service, Josh.
And Josh,
Tanya.
you were a great
Yeah.
host.
Call me.
You were a great host.
I thought Josh was a model.
No, you're the model.
Tanya, call me.
You look like Oprah in her good days.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, Sharon.
Y'all, see y'all later.
That's the new Oprah. I like that.
Hey, Robert.
Hey, how you?
Good to see you.
Yeah, I haven't seen
I had
Robert
to
in a
go
long
virtual
time.
to see you.
The light didn't come on when I opened it.
Yeah.
I see you, Stan.
What's up, Cheryl?
Right, that's my big bro.
Hey. So why the computer ain't coming on?
Look at Stan wrote all that hair on his face.
That's a sex
time.
Wolverine.
I had plenty of charge. The lights
You
on.
look like Father
They
Time.
never stopped us from before.
Trusted servants, what are we doing next? What's
We going to some more meetings. They here all weekend. They got some good speakers.
I know, Zoom, you can be at home and take your teeth out and everything. You ain't got
Watch out, girl.
We're going to take the video off with your
Look out there, Cheryl. That's right.
I'm not taking mine out, Sharon.
Look at her, Myra.
Taking mine out unless I take the video off.
I might not ever wear pants to a meeting again.
I can take my scarf off. Hey, Sharon, you want to see my scarf?
Oh my God, look at my. All right, y'all. All right now.
Too much, boy.
All
Oh
right.
my goodness, I cannot. Oh my! Don't forget the dance, y'all. The dance is tonight.
Oh yeah, we gonna
be here.
All right.
9:45.
Shake it up, shake it up, shake it up,
Be
shake
here,
it
be
up.
square. All day long.
The dance at 9:45.
9:45, Cheryl.
Right.
Always to show up fabulous.
Mike is up here just cracking up.
All right, you all take care.
All right, see y'all later. Thank you, Seth, for your service, man.
Love y'all. Thank y'all for being here.
Hey, thanks for having us. Go
Love each and every
Buckeyes.
one of you all.
Calvin, thank you for coming all the way from Ohio to help.
Watch out now. Watch out. Us Buckeyes ain't just worthless nuts.
They got a dance at 9:45 and then they got a marathon.
All right, then. I'll see y'all there.
It ain't over. It ain't over.
You better believe it. You better believe it.
Bring it.
All
Bring
right.
it on.
Goodbye.
Bye, Tanya.
Hey, Tanya, you know how you live and having their anniversary in the morning.
Of course I know that. I'm gonna stop by and come on back. They got nothing but men there.
I know, that's why I'll be.
Gosh, let me ask you a question.
Hey, I might even comb my hair.
It's gonna come up anyway.
Hey, if you come as you are, you'll attract the right
That's
kind.
right. That's right.
Come pretty, you may attract pretty.
That's right. That's right, Josh. Josh, let me ask you a question.
I'll be coming in there faking.
You come out of this virtual room, right? Will it allow you to automatically go to another room, or do you have to come all the way back out to the website?
You can, if you go ahead and set that room up in the screen that you're on, like you can open another screen up and start going into that room, and then back out of this one, you'll go right into that room. You can switch.
Nice. All right.
Do that. Try it like.
Look at Mike. Mike just over there. Mike, we always making you laugh.
I know. Look, Mike, how does it feel to have these two people sitting next to each other? Look, it's like a talk show. Tanya, tell me what you got to go. What do you got going on today?
And they say there is no model of
That's the model and the superstar.
No. Hey, look, you know we always send the representative first.
I was hoping Brian would be here, Tanya, so we could laugh about it.
Oh man, listen, every time I see you laughing, I think of Brian. I just talked to Troy about that. That's funny.
That was the funniest thing in the world.
My great sponsor lives in Aiken.
Oh, there go Troy. Oh, Troy's on there.
I've been here. I've been listening to y'all.
That was funny that day.
That was funny.
And Mike couldn't stop
I had
laughing.
no idea what we were laughing about.
Brian, but every time Tanya busts out laughing, Brian got a little madder.
And Mike just, Mike, because I was laughing at Mike because he wouldn't stop laughing.
All right, I gotta go get my room set up. I love you all.
Okay, y'all. I'll see y'all later.
Tanya, call me.
Okay, I will. Okay.
Myra, send me information for how you living in the morning.
I did send it to you.
You sent me that.
Yes, she did.
I sent you yesterday.
Because I seen you in the group text with me. Okay. You sent it as a group, right, Myra?
No, I sent them all one at a time, I think. Because some of y'all funny about them group texts because you don't know how to follow direction. If you don't click on it, nobody won't know you on it. You wanna answer the group text and then you want to get mad because people start talking to you.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you.
Okay.
You got your one. Well, I know you got little girl grow up.
Yeah, you coming to the dam?
No, I'm gonna go down here and eat me some butter beans and cornbread, and I'm gonna get ready for another meeting.
I had to put my teeth in and eat some of that.
Yeah, you gotta put your teeth in for this, baby. You gotta put your teeth in. Well, Cheryl, at least I know what I look like when I take mine out.
Oh.
I'm not taking mine out till it's over, till I go to bed.
I take mine out anytime I'm at home.
I'm gonna keep my illusion.
I'm gonna keep your illusion, boo. I'm at my best right now.
I'm gonna keep my illusion.
I ain't mad at you. Bye,
Hey,
girl.
Cheryl.
Talk to you later. I love y'all.
Hey, Cheryl.
Good night.
Cheryl, I tried to find your 50 meetings in 50 states in WhatsApp, and it says I can't find it.
Okay, give me your phone number. Wait a minute, I'll put
Or
you.
I'll send you a text, hon.
I'm good, Seth.
I'm gonna give you. Okay,
You gonna send you a text? Listen,
I'll send you a text.
Lena, when you figure it out, would you put it in the Telegram messaging for the whole conference? I would love that.
I can send it to you. I don't know how to do Telegram messaging for the conference, but I would love
Okay, send it to me and I'll broadcast it.
I'll send it to you.
Oh, that'll be wonderful.
Yeah, we need to.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Okay,
Yeah.
That sounds cool.
Are you putting your phone number in the chat?
No, I'm gonna send you a text.
Oh, that's right, because you got my phone number. Okay.
I sent you a text too, Cheryl, so you can add me to the WhatsApp list because I have the WhatsApp already downloaded because I can't find it either.
Okay.
My name is Cheryl, just like yours, just with a C.
I'm about to close the meeting.
I got you.
All right.
Is there one more meeting at 9:45?
Okay.
Is there a meeting at 9:45?
There's a dance at 9:45.
At 10 o'clock.